So I watched Spider-Man Brand New Day the first day it came out, July 31st. This is going to be a bit of a late review though because it's hot as hell and I just haven't had the motivation to do reviews, but I'm going to post this as soon as possible. Um I thought it was a solid movie, but there was a lot of it I didn't like. They have the Hand here, Daredevil villains, but Daredevil doesn't even get a mention. He doesn't have an appearance. I didn't expect him to be another character in this movie. This movie already has too many characters. But I just feel like, how are you going to have Daredevil villains in the movie and not have Daredevil? They also are just so mischaracterized, with a throwaway line in the movie being that they're just children that need a guiding hand, which I feel like it was just them trying to do a clever MCU pun and not actually make these characters the Hand from the comics. One of their scenes was cut too, I noticed from the trailer. There's a throwaway scene too where Spider-Man beats up a bunch of villains like Tombstone and Boomerang and Tarantula and a few other characters. I will admit, I don't think I'm familiar with Tarantula, but I always liked Boomerang, so I was very sad that he didn't get a bigger role. I've read a lot of Spider-Man comic books. He becomes his roommate in the Spider-Man comic books for a while. There's a funny scene in the comics where they go to the bar together and Boomerang pisses off a bunch of villains and they have to fight them. Boomerang is just such a fun character. And all he gets is like a 3-second cameo in this movie. Ramrod's here, not familiar with him either. Tombstone's here. I've always fucking loved Tombstone. I love him in the comic book, Spectacular Spider-Man, pretty much anything he's in. But he just has like a dumb line about how if he dropped Spider-Man, how long would it take for him to hit the ground? Well, Spider-Man fucking swings around the city. I think he'll be fine. But I get it's supposed to be a reference to a comic book cover, but still dumb. Scorpion finally returns after 9 years since Homecoming, and he gets one fight scene where he gets easily beat once again in a montage. And the second scene, he's being controlled by the villain of the movie, spoilers, Jean Grey. So it's not even him. He's being controlled by a villain. And in the plot, they say that he's the only one that knows what the villain wants. So Spider-Man needs to question him. So, you know what Spider-Man doesn't do in this scene? He doesn't question Scorpion. The one thing the scene was setting up, he doesn't do it. Which, in fairness, the movie has this plot that he's becoming more spider-like and getting more angry and not being able to control himself, and he beats the shit out of Scorpion in this scene. But he doesn't even question him, and Scorpion disappears from the movie after that. You think we would have got one more scene with him when he questions him and Jean Grey is not controlling his body. It was very anticlimactic what they did with Scorpion, especially since I've seen a few clips of Breaking Bad, and the actor that plays Scorpion is very talented. And he just doesn't do anything in this movie. There's been a little backlash about MJ not taking Peter back, which I think is stupid. She doesn't know this guy. That's it. She doesn't know him. Why should she get with a fucking stranger? And there's a lot of people saying that they would just leave her and they wouldn't take her back home, which is just pretty messed up. But I guess that's what you can expect from fucking men. Not understanding the point of a movie. Jean Grey was an okay villain, but I feel like they tried way too hard to make her sympathetic when she does some pretty messed up things in this movie. Like, she takes control of a guy, lets him get hit by a car. By the way, Spider-Man doesn't do anything to stop this, even though he knows at this point that she's controlling him. And he has spider sense. He should be able to sense the car coming. Or at least just, be able to see the car coming and swing and save him. But he doesn't. He lets him get hit by a car. She also, fucks with Peter by, messing with his emotions by making him think MJ got her memories back and then kissing him as MJ. She's just really messed up. but it's okay because her sister got kidnapped, which I don't agree with that, man. I don't. Sadie Sink plays a decent Jean Grey. I would like to see more of her. I will say it's weird that fans just didn't pay attention to the point that Spider-Man is 22 now. He's no longer a child. They finally aged up Tom Holland. Sadie Sink is 16 in this movie. The actual actor is like 24. But people have been shipping Spider-Man and Jean Grey, which is just weird because Spider-Man's an adult and she's a child. Can you not pay attention to that? Pretty much every character in this movie that's somewhat important only gets 2 scenes. Hulk has like 2 scenes as Hulk, 2 scenes as Bruce Banner. Scorpion has 2 scenes. Every character in this movie that isn't Spider-Man, Jean, or Punisher, or MJ, Ned, those characters are only in the movie for like 2 scenes. There's also this generic villain who is pretty obviously the villain. I don't even remember his name, but he runs damage control. He felt exactly like Kevin Bacon's character from First Class. Just not as cool. I feel like he should have been developed more. Spider-Man also has the most goofiest realization in the movie, where he realizes, oh, people who get controlled by Jean Grey lose their memories, as if we haven't seen that like fucking 50 times in this movie. He has to have MJ say it out loud for him to realize that, and realize that the generic villain from Damage Control is actually a villain. It's so stupid. It's like a Scooby-Doo moment. And it's stupid. Like, Spider-Man should be smarter than this. MJ does feel a bit different from literally 3 other movies. She just feels like kind of a different character. They also do another joke. Again, I feel like this is becoming a reoccurring joke that is just very uncomfortable, where Peter Parker has to get half naked. They've done that joke in Homecoming, Far From Home, No Way Home, and now this movie. It's just weird. He doesn't want to do it, but he does it because he has to. It's just weird. Yelena's here, and that's the one who makes him do it. She's in 2 scenes. There's an in-credit scene that I personally think is them finally trying to introduce Miles. Some people think it's them gonna bring back Toby, and there's plenty of other fan theories, but I feel like it's probably Miles. But that's just my opinion. Bad Bunny has a song in here for a few seconds, which I thought was cool, and it really fit the scene. Other people online complained like little bitches. Punisher was pretty fun here. People complained about that too, because, oh, he's not as dark and serious as he is in the Netflix show. But I think it works. I don't think he's mischaracterized at all. He still feels like the Punisher. When people have crossovers, their personalities change a little bit, but they still feel like the same character. And I feel like they did that with Punisher. I will say, I liked the joke too with Sadie saying this guy's fucked up, but other people think they weren't taking Punisher's character seriously enough. I will say it is a little strange that she controlled both Hulk and Punisher, and even though they've both been through some shit, that she could not like sympathize and relate to them. And then she ended up relating to Spider-Man's Aunt May, of all people, who had a reoccurring flashback they don't finish until like the end of the movie for the plot. But I guess it makes more sense. They both lost a loved one that was very close to them, and that wasn't their choice. But at the same time, Punisher and Hulk have been through that. And then they also have this plot point that Spider-Man can't be controlled by Jean Grey, which is a bit odd, but it does make sense, kinda. Because he was able to straight up be able to take the thing back from Doctor Strange. I forget what it was in No Way Home, when he was literally knocked out of his body. Tom Holland is pretty overpowered in these movies. Still a bit strange. And when he's, becoming a bit more Spider-like, you think Jean would try again since he's not as in control to get into his body, especially since at this point he can't sense her anymore. But she never tries again. She threatens to near the end of the movie because she's stronger now, but she never tries again when he's not in control of his body, which I thought was stupid. Like, why wouldn't you try again? He's not as strong as he was. He's struggling with his powers right now. I feel like you could control him now. And there's been obviously a lot of criticism where people said that, oh, they simply could have talked it out, but you can do that for any movie. So shut up. I still think this movie definitely was carried by the trailer showing, oh, look, here's this character, this character, this character, this character. It was all right. Some people are trying to say it's the best Spider-Man movie already. I don't know if I would agree with that. Maybe the best Tom Holland Spider-Man movie, but best Spider-Man movie in general, I don't think so. Especially since there wasn't even really that big of a villain in this movie.